The surgeon's photograph is the first photo of the Loch Ness Monster's head and neck that was taken by Robert Kenneth Wilson, a London gynecologist, and it was published in the Daily Mail on April 21st, 1934. Now, according to Dr. Wilson, he was looking at the loch when he saw the monster, grabbed his camera, and snapped 4 photos. Now, only 2 exposures came out clearly, as the first reportedly shows a small head and back, and the second shows a similar head in a diving position. Now, the first photo became well known, and the second attracted little publicity because of its blurriness. Now, for 60 years, this photo was considered evidence of the monster's existence, although skeptics dismissed it. The photo scale was controversial as it often was shown cropped, making the creature seem large and the ripples like waves, while the uncropped shot shows the other end of the loch and the monster in the center. Now, the ripples in the photo were found to be fit the size of pattern of small ripples rather than large waves photographed up close. But even so, maybe he found a baby Loch Ness Monster. Now, the first Loch Ness Monster sighting of this year happened in January when a visitor was on the shore of Dores Beach in Scotland. He said he saw something slithering around in the water and took a photo. Amy Todd, the Loch Ness Center's marketing manager, told USA Today that when the image was taken on January 29th, the water was calm and conditions were perfect. "I just thought it was brilliant because it really shows like the wave," Todd added, "and it looks like there's some kind of dark mass under the water pushing up that wave." So, was it really Nessie or just some sort of object or seal in the water? I guess we'll never really know. On July 22, 1933, George Spicer and his wife saw a most extraordinary form of animal cross the road in front of their car. Now, they described the creature as having a large body, about 4 feet high and 25 feet long, and a long, wavy, narrow neck, slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk and as long as the 10 to 12 foot width of the road. Now, they saw no limbs, and it lurched across the road towards the loch 20 yards away, leaving a trail of broken undergrowth in its wake. Now, George described it as the nearest approach to a dragon or prehistoric animal I've ever seen in my life, and as having a long neck which moved up and down in the manner of a scenic railway. It had an animal in its mouth and had a body that was fairly big with a hump back, but if there were any feet, they must have been the web kind. As for a tail, I cannot say, as it moved so rapidly, and when we got to the spot, it had probably disappeared into the loch, he said. So was this the Loch Ness Monster? On August 3, 2012, George Edwards claimed that a photo he took on November 2, 2011 shows Nessie. Now, George claims to have searched for the monster for 26 years and reportedly spent 60 hours per week on the loch aboard his boat, Nessie Hunter 4, taking tourists for rides on the lake. He said, "In my opinion, it probably looks kinda like a manatee, but not a mammal. When people see 3 humps, they're probably just seeing 3 separate monsters." Now, other researchers have questioned the photograph's authenticity, and Loch Ness researcher Steve Feltham suggested that the object in the water is a fiberglass hump used in a National Geographic Channel documentary in which George had participated. Now, although George admitted in October 2013 that his 2011 photograph was a hoax, he insisted that the 1986 photograph he took was genuine. Now, the best known article that first attracted a great deal of attention about the creature was published on May 2, 1933 in the Inverse Courier about a large beast or whale-like fish. Now, the article by Alex Campbell, water bailiff of Loch Ness and part-time journalist, discussed a sighting by Aldi McKay of an enormous creature with the body of a whale rolling in the water in the loch while she and her husband John were driving on the A82 of April 15, 1933. The article said the creature disported itself, rolling and plunging for fully a minute, its body resembling that of a whale, and the water cascading and churning like a simmering cauldron. Soon after, however, it disappeared in a boiling mass of foam. It went on to say that both onlookers confessed that there was something uncanny about the whole thing, for they realized that here was no ordinary denizen of the depths, because apart from its enormous size, the beast, in taking the final plunge, sent out waves that were big enough to have been caused by a passing steamer. Now, I don't know, this sounds pretty convincing to me. Now, on May 26 of this year, there was something called the Quest Weekend, which is an event hosted by the Loch Ness Center and Loch Ness Exploration, where volunteers and researchers gather to search for the Loch Ness Monster. Now, they used underwater cameras to try to find the monster, but a report was made from that day saying a visitor to the area reported that they were there for the Loch Ness Quest. He said that he was at a high vantage point overlooking Urquhart Bay when he spotted a small motorboat entering the bay. When he checked it through his binoculars, he spotted something long and thin pop up in the boat's wake. It vanished a few times, but he managed to catch it on film. The sighting lasted 3 to 5 minutes and took place at 3:40 p.m. So could that have really been Nessie? In 2020, it was reported that the Loch Ness Monster was caught on a sonar. The image was captured by retired skipper Rod Mitchie, and the image appeared to show a 33-foot long Nessie. Now, he decided to come forward with his sonar image, saying, "I used to see surprising things visually or by sonar, but every time there was a logical explanation. But this contact was different. It really is unexplained. I passed over this point many times later, but never saw anything again." Now, he did say that it could have been an eel, but it sounds more like Nessie, as that would have had to be a huge eel. In April 2022, Glenn Blevins, a local resident, said he spotted Nessie through a pair of binoculars. He said he had never seen anything like it despite living near the loch for more than 3 decades. He saw a large object in the loch when looking through his binoculars, commenting, "I was near Alderley Castle on Friday the 15th of April, working on the banks of the loch when I saw a large animate object in the water beneath both banks of the loch at approximately 9:30 a.m. Now, maybe he made a mistake and this wasn't the Loch Ness Monster, but he's pretty convinced that it was. And known Nessie hunter Ion Fatohagen caught footage on a webcam livestream that showed 2 objects moving in parallel across Loch Ness on March 23, 2022. Now, the pair of shapes moved in sync before one made an unexpected sharp turn, creating an unusual wake. Now, he explained that the movement was inconsistent with floating debris or seal behavior. He specifically mentioned that the wake pattern ruled out driftwood or common waterfowl. Now, he's claimed to have had a lot of Nessie sightings, but this one might be the most convincing. On August 27, 2013, tourist David Elder presented a 5-minute video of a mysterious wave in the loch, which he believed to be caused by the Loch Ness Monster. Now, according to David, the wave was produced by a 15-foot solid black object just under the surface of the water. Now, David was taking a photo of a swan when he captured the movement, which he believed was from Nessie. He said the water was very still at the time and there were no ripples coming off the wave and no other activity on the water. Skeptics suggest that the wave may have been caused by a wind gust, but I'd like to think it was Nessie. Now, a man on the shores of Scotland's Dores Beach said that he spotted the Loch Ness Monster on January 29th of this year. He took a photo of the mythical creature, and sightings are usually rare in the winter time, so this was crazy. Now, it was reported that he saw a large dark mass beneath the still waters of the loch. The Loch Ness Center posted the sighting, and some people believe it, but others are a little bit more skeptical.